In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the commands you can run on Redis lists. To add an item to a list, all you need to do is use the lpush command, the key of the list, and then the element you want to add. Let's go ahead and create a list of languages, and let's just call it langs, and let's add Python. You'll see we get back a number there, an integer, and that's the length of the list. If we want to get this item back, we can use the lindex command and then the name of the list and then the index we want to get back. If we add 0, we'll get back Python. You can add multiple items to a list using the lpush command. Again, it's just lpush, the name of the list and then the elements you want to add. So let's go with JavaScript, Go and Rust. And you'll see we get back 4, which is now the length of our list. If you want to view the entire list, you can do that using the lrange command. Again, lrange, the name of the list, the starting index, and then to view the entire list, you use -1, and you'll get back the entire list. If you just want to view the first items, you just use 0 and 1. If you want to get back the length of your list, you can use the len command and then the name of your list, and you'll get back the integer length of your list. With the lpush command, you'll notice that when we use it, the item is added to the left-hand side of the list or the start of the list. So we go ahead and add a Ruby and then get our list back using the lrange command. So langs 0 -1. You'll see that the Ruby was added to the start of that list. If you want to add an item to the end of the list, you use the rpush command. So langs, and let's add, say, C#. And then let's have a look at the entire list again, and you'll see that C# was added to the right-hand side or the end of the list. Okay, so we've got our list of programming languages, and to remove one, you simply use the BLPOP command and then the key of our list, so langs, and that will remove an item from the left-hand side of our list. So if we have a look at that list again, we'll see that Ruby is no longer there, and you can do exactly the same with the right-hand side of the list using the rpop command and then the key of your list, and you'll see it will use C# there. So have a look at the list again, and you'll see we only have 4 items in our list. If you only want to push an item to the list if that list exists, there's a command for that. It's called lpushx. You pass in the key and then the element. Let's go ahead and see if we can push any superheroes to a list. Let's go with Batman and see what happens here. So we've tried to push Batman into our superheroes list, and we've got back an integer of 0. And that's because our superheroes list doesn't currently exist, and lpushx will only push an item if your list currently exists. So if you use lpushx langs for our languages list, which we know already exists, and let's go ahead and add back Ruby, you'll see we get back an integer of 5. Then have a look at the lrange of langs 0 to -1. It's in that list. If we do the same with our superheroes list, so superheroes 0 to -1, you'll see we get back an empty array, and that's because that list does not exist. And there is, of course, an rpushx command that does exactly the same thing from the right-hand side of the list. If we go ahead and have a look at what's in the first index of our list, we'll see we've got Ruby. If we wanted to change the item at a specific index in our list, there's a command for that called lset. Again, the key of our list, the index that we want to change, in this case 0, and then the element we're going to replace that item with. So let's go ahead and use Scala. It said OK, all worked correctly. Let's use the lrange command on our langs to get the entire list back, and we can see that Scala is the first item in the list. With the lset command, the index must currently already exist in your list, otherwise you'll get an error. So in our langs, which only has 5 items in it, if we try and set the 10th index to be C#, we'll get an error saying that that index is out of range, and that won't work, and it won't change our list at all. So if you're using the lset command, it has to be within range of your list. Another nice list function is the linsert function, which allows you to insert an item before or after another item in your list. So again, linsert, the key of your list, so in our case langs, and then before or after. So let's go for before. And then the pivot is the item you want to use as your pivot. So In this case, we're going to use the third item in our list, or the Go language. So Go, and then the element we want to insert, and in this case, we will go for Ruby. So then if we have another look at our list, we'll see that before Go, we have inserted Ruby. Let's do that again because it's a little bit confusing if you're not used to it. So linsert, the key of the language, let's go for after this time. And the pivot, which is the kind of thing that's slightly odd, let's go for Go again, and let's insert Java. And you'll see you get back 8 because our list is slowly growing. And you'll see that after Go, we've now inserted Java. So the pivot part of the linsert command is the item that already exists in your list that you want to pivot on. And the pivot just means, do you want it to be before or after that item? So we use Go as our pivot for both of those. So Ruby went before and Java went after it. Another common command you'll use on lists is the sort command. So you sort and then the key of your list, so langs. If you want to sort this alphabetically, we use the alpha keyword, and that will sort our list alphabetically. And if you want to do the same thing, but descending alphabetically, so we want Scala to be at the top and C# to be at the bottom, we just use desc before the alpha keyword, and that will sort our list for us. The final command we're going to have a look at is the BLPOP command. Fairly similar to the LPOP command in that it removes an item from the left-hand side of our list. The core difference here is that the BLPOP command is a blocking command. What this means is that it will try to remove an item from the left-hand side of our list. If it can't do that, it will block the client until our timeout ends, and then it will just return nil. So let's go ahead and have a look at an example of the BLPOP command. We're going to do it on a list that doesn't exist, so we can see what happens when we don't have anything in our list to remove. Let's go ahead and BLPOP countries, a list that doesn't exist, and let's pass a timeout of 5 seconds. So you'll see here that our client is blocked because we don't have a countries list. The BLPOP can't remove anything from the left-hand side of our list, so it's waited to 5 seconds, it's timed out, and it's returned nil. If we run exactly the same command on a list that we know does exist, so our langs command with a timeout of 5 seconds, you will see it returned instantly, and that's because our list does exist. To really see how the BLPOP command works, what we're going to do is we're going to run it on a list that doesn't currently exist with a timeout. And then in another connection to our database, we're going to push an item to that list. And what we'll see is that the blocking command will block our client until it has access to that list, till we push an item to it, and then it will return as quickly as it can and then end the command and no longer be blocking. We can see we don't currently have a countries list. So let's go ahead and run the BLPOP command to blocking left pop on our countries list. And we'll give it a 20-second timeout just so that I can type quickly enough. And what we'll do in the other client is we will push to that list and see the blocking happening. So you can see currently the top client is blocked. So let's push to countries and let's push Spain. And if you watch the top client, what you'll see is that it will return as soon as I push to that list. So what happened there was the BLPOP command was blocking, waiting for countries to exist. There was nothing in that list. As soon as we pushed an item into that countries list, the blocking command found it, it popped it off and returned it to us, and then no longer blocked the client. And the BLPOP command first returns the list that it was going to remove from, and then the actual item that it removed, which is why you get back 2 things there. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. It really helps out the channel.